Hey everybody, Charles from GMAT Ninja here with your GMAT Club verbal question of the day. If you've never seen this question before, please hit the pause button. Go ahead and try this question on your own first. For the rest of you, we're going to keep going. First step, as always, is to break down the passage a little bit. Question here is, it's an assumption question asking us what exactly the procedure of the researcher assumes. So let's take a moment and figure out what exactly they mean by the procedure of the researchers. So first, they selected and dated fossils of beetle species that still exist. Straightforward enough. Second step, they narrowed that study group to individuals of several different species found in the same place, found to date to the same period in the past. So basically, we've got all these existing beetle species, found fossils of them, found different species, but we have fossils available all from the same time period. Fantastic. And then the researchers used the known temperature tolerances of those existing beetle species to determine the maximum summer temperature that could have existed at that place and period. So this whole procedure, what was the result of it? Well, the result was it was the most detailed description of temperatures in Britain over the last 22,000 years. Now, as with any assumption question, what we're looking for is something that we can add to some of that evidence, add to the passage, and it's going to allow us to draw that conclusion. And you can think of it in a sense of having two parts. It's going to be something that strengthens that conclusion, in this case, that result. It's going to strengthen the idea that we have the most detailed description of temperatures in Britain over the past 22,000 years. And it's also going to be necessary to draw that conclusion. So with that, let's start ripping through the answer choices. I'm just going to highlight that result once again, because that's the thing that this assumption needs to reinforce in some way. So answer choice A, beetles can tolerate warm weather better than cold weather. This is pretty irrelevant here. So what the researchers were trying to determine is the maximum summer temperature that could have existed at that place and period. This procedure is going to tell us that it doesn't really matter whether the beetles were happier in warm weather than in cold weather. So we can safely get rid of A. Answer choice B, fossils of different species found in the same place belonged to different periods. Well, first of all, this would actually kind of weaken your conclusion, weaken the force of this procedure. But second, it actually directly contradicts something we have in the passage, that part in red, when individuals of several species found in the same place were found to date to the same period. So the researchers are already limiting their study just to those species that were found to date to the same period. So for that reason, we can get rid of B easily enough. C, the process of dating is more accurate for beetles than for other organisms. This might seem kind of tempting, because if it's more accurate for other organisms, then maybe there's a better way to do this. But notice that we're not saying anything about this procedure would give us the most detailed description of temperatures possible, that it would be the best procedure possible. We're just saying, hey, this gives us the most detailed description of temperatures that exists at this point. All we need to assume here is that the beetles dating is somewhat accurate. we don't need to assume anything at all about that in comparison to other organisms. So we can eliminate C safely enough. What about D? This one's a real mouthful. It seems so batty. It feels like it's really easy to eliminate, a little bit hard to describe why you would eliminate it. The highest actual summer temperature equaled the average of the highest temperatures that could have been tolerated by each of the beetle species found there and dated to that period. That's a mouthful. I'm not going to say too much about this, but basically this doesn't make any sense at all. Let's say you have one species that can tolerate 100 degrees, another that can tolerate 60 degrees. Average those out, you get 80 degrees. This doesn't make any sense at all because then that second species couldn't survive. So this is way off base. And we have a much more detailed description of this one. If you want to visit the website, Google the question, find us on GMAT Club. We have a much more detailed written description if you need more on this one. So D is out, we're left with E. The temperature tolerances of the beetle species did not change significantly during these 22,000 years. Absolutely, we need to assume this because all of this evidence is relying on the fact that you're using existing species and the known temperature tolerances of these current species. So the entire thing would get blown up if it wasn't the case that these temperature tolerances were stable over 22,000 years. So we absolutely need to assume E, and that's our answer. That's it for today. Again, I'm Charles from GMAT Ninja. Thank you for joining us.